Barbarian Horde, let us give thanks and praise to the great Terry Funk, died earlier this week. All-time great professional wrestling, likely the greatest professional wrestler of all time, 4-year reign as the NWA World Heavyweight Champion, the only brothers to have ever been both World Heavyweight Champion, Terry Funk and his older brother, Dory Funk Jr., son of Dory Funk, the great promoter out of Amarillo, Texas, the Double Cross Ranch, Terry Funk, ECW World Heavyweight Champion, former member of the NWA, WCW, WWF, ECW, I believe it was All Japan, big standout there, Memphis territory, empty arena match with Jerry the King Lawler, I Quit match with Ric Flair, pile drove Ric Flair's head into the very table itself. First time I ever saw that. I remember when I'm 12 and watching wrestling, I said, well, I know wrestling is fake. And I saw Terry Funk and I said, holy fuck, this guy doesn't know wrestling is fake. No one's telling Terry Funk that wrestling's not fake. And then they introduced Gary Hart, who knew wrestling was fake, but was so evil, he wanted to see Terry Funk injure, cripple, and destroy Ric Flair for his banana nose itself and destroy him and make him pay the price of a wrestling lifetime. And that really revitalized, it kind of took my wrestling interest up to the very next level. I thought it was fantastic, amazing. Terry Funk's career, maybe my all-time favorite professional wrestler. I love Terry Funk. Oh, that sucking dog. And if you're unfamiliar with him, if you're younger, go out there, watch him on YouTube, watch some Terry Funk matches. That man did it all. He was a great scientific wrestler, and he wrestled in barbed wire, wrestled with fire. He wrestled exploding death matches. He was the legend coming out with Cactus Jack as a tag team in the WWF. He really did a lot of stuff, and he was absolutely fantastic and just an amazing professional wrestler. Could literally do everything. In his 50s, taught himself how to do reverse moonsaults off the top rope to the floor, and a wild brawler, but an amazing tactician in the ring itself. So Terry Funk will certainly be missed. Now, let's talk about this. Classes in Dungeons & Dragons, how your choices as players sculpt the game to a tremendous degree, even more than perhaps you will realize yourself. So, when you're sitting around, nowadays I've seen this, and this probably started around 2000, like 3rd edition era. This is, for me, it seemed to come from MMORPGs. I've never played an MMORPG before. I didn't see this before those. It wasn't the AD&D era. Maybe someone would go, oh, back in the days, we used to, you know, but I don't know. I don't know, because I didn't see that. In the games I played, and I played lots of games, and I saw lots of groups, I saw lots of other players, and I talked to lots of other players, you know, in those formative years. And then when I turned, right before I turned 17, or right after I turned 17, I'd started a AD&D Ravenloft game, 2nd edition, that lasted 4.5 years. I ran it every Friday night, and it kept going on and on and on and on at my parents' house. And, you know, we were playing from the time I got to high school at about 2, maybe even 3 in the morning. I had players when I'm 17 up to almost 30 years old coming there. It was a place to be. Some of us would have over 10 players, and we'd just cram them around that table, and I ruled as an iron fist like Bane himself. I mean, I'd snatch that XP like that. I'd take it from you real quick if you fucked around. You shut the fuck up when it wasn't your deal. You stayed in character, you got played in character, you got done what you had to do, and people to this day still applaud the tactics that were utilized upon them. Because we had that ambiance, we had that, you know, I really learned those steps then of utilizing music in games, of utilizing candlelight in games, utilizing black lights, strobe lights, every kind of effect that I could get, and really bringing a lot in. And of course, you know, with the current media options that we have, for those of you that are young out there don't really quite understand, you know, bringing more and more and more pictures and videos and all sorts of things to bear inside of a game to help increase the immersion level, because that's really, in the end, what it's all about. So, I'm going to talk about from different sides that I've seen as a game master, you've seen as a player, but we talk about the World of Warcraft model, where you have your damage dealer, your damage taker, your healer, and like your wizard that's just supposed to like hit everybody with fireballs and shit like that, right? Now, I've never even heard of that as an idea for a group, right? If you look at a lot of the AD&D books, they will refer to all thief game, all dwarf game, all wizard game. How would it look if you had wizards of each different school, or an all evoker campaign? What about an all gnome game? Hell no, I'm not playing that. I'm smacking you in the mouth and hitting the gourd buster and covering you for 3. That's what's going to happen if you pitch that to me. You are getting beat for a 3 count, and you're doing the job live on TBS. You understand what I'm saying to you? So talk to me about it. See what happens. Now, there are a lot of those ideas, right? And that's going to be a very different game. How different is the game if we all play elves versus we all play dwarves? How different is the game if it's only humans? How different is the game if it is all fighters, right? So when the Ravenloft game I ran, people typically tended to play warriors. It was mostly fighters, but there were paladins, there were rangers, there were cavaliers, AD&D First Edition, Unearthed Arcana, barbarians, as well from the same book. Very rarely was there a thief. Almost never was there a solo cleric. Almost never. Almost never was there a solo wizard. And there were every once in a while, certainly from the busted and pathetic AD&D Second Edition Complete Book of Elves, which is literally an apology video from the guy that wrote that on YouTube. So if you think I'm being too harsh, well, that does exist. That's a real thing. And that video, you know, definitely needed to be done because that book is ridiculous. They took the most whack strongest race, elves. I couldn't even stand to play elves in AD&D. Subsequently, elves and their longsword tactics, both of which, you know, I have developed extreme negative opinions towards in old school D&D, right? And I guess you'd call Second Edition old school at this point. The bonuses you'd see elves get, and bonuses weren't like they are in higher editions. Like, it was hard to get a bonus. So you saw elf longsword, elf longsword, elf longbow, elf longsword, elf longbow, elf longsword, elf longbow. And you just wanted to start choking players. You just wanted to start choking them because it was like, it was the drizzling shit. My players know not to even bother taking a longsword in my game because maybe you'll find a +1, but that's it. I'm not going to put it up. You better get yourself a two-handed sword, a bastard sword, a cutlass, a falchion, a saber, a broadsword, a claymore. I don't give a fuck what it's called or what conventions you may like to say, but if it does a D8 / a D12, a speed factor 5, if it's costing 15 gold pieces, if it's a fucking goddamn longsword, you're gonna regret you done that. Go get you a short sword, motherfucker, because it was the optimal weapon, and they gave the optimal weapon to the optimal race with additional bonuses for taking the best weapon and the best race. And I mean, that's just fucking horrible game design. I mean, take a glaive, take something else, and design that to get bonuses to incentivize players to take something that is not optimal. You know, the Warhammer in AD&D sucks. Why don't dwarves have a +1 to hit with Warhammer or a +1 to damage war? No, they don't. They use it for some reason. But elves have the most optimal weapon, the longsword, and get a +1 bonus to hit with it. Which again, +1 bonus is a big deal there. So, certain things I would see over and over again, and we would see lots of fighters, and we would see every once in a while the Bladesinger kit would pop up, that demented thing, which was such an extremely busted class, multi-class option that you would see that, but typically we wouldn't see it, and the party was so weak. I was killing off characters like that in Ravenloft. It was nothing to kill off characters. It was hard not to kill off characters. You got hit with level drain. There's no priest here to hit restoration. You got your stats drained. Well, that's probably permanent too. No priest to give you the restoration to retrieve these levels, retrieve these stat points, permanent hit points, whatever it was. So it was brutal, particularly fighting undead, where you don't even have turn, where you don't have all these cure light wounds, cure moderate wounds, heal spells in effect. It was rough. I think we did have a druid. We did have a Maltor. We had a druid there. But that player, I mean, he played the game from the very beginning to the very end. And he played 3 different characters, not simultaneously, but at different points in the game. Only one of them ever died. Gregor Tracton and Maltork made it through. His Hobbit Meatalk did die. But he did play a druid. And I think that was the only long-term caster period that we had in the game, you know. So I saw how weak it was to have a group like that. Conversely, years later, and I've run many, many games that have gone a year plus. I'm not talking about, you know, sitting down and playing a few sessions with somebody or whatever. But campaigns have gone over a year, and I've run quite a few of those. So seeing players that were playing a group that had so much magic in it, so many wizards, so many clerics, that sort of thing, it makes it infinitely harder as a game master. They are not balanced out. If you have 7 8th level fighters and 7 8th level wizards / clerics, the wizard / cleric group will fucking annihilate the fighter group, like annihilate them. I mean, that's maybe not 100 times out of 100, but probably 99 out of 100 they're winning, because they're just hitting them with everything, and then they're, oh, let's heal ourselves. Oh, let's do this, let's do that. How about hold person? Oh, how about fireball? Oh, how about charm person? Oh, now you work for us, fighter. Go out there and take all the hits, you fucking idiot. Very, very powerful. So having seen that and having seen, where I could take their best fighter and just flatten them in a game after, 3 or 4 rounds of just concentrating on them. Then the next round they go heal, 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 and he's back. He's got that 93 hit points again, and I'm like, fuck, it's grueling, not in a bad way, but oh my god, what? And I've used, because I play it fair, right? If my character has this, 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 and this, and he's used this, this, and this, I only got this and this left. Now what am I gonna do? I might be in a rough spot to try to take him down again, and sometimes it made fights until I started adjusting to that style very, very difficult. So clerics and wizards are very strong, and I have a group now that plays clerics and wizards a lot. The group I'm currently running, we've been going for maybe 13 months now, 14 months now, something like that. We have 7 players. Every single one of them can cast spells. A lot of them are multi-class because we're playing AD&D. Only 2 out of 7 are single-class characters. Well, one of those is almost single-class because he was doing one thing and then a story thing came up. Now he's really a single-class druid. But 4 of them are multi-class. 3 of the 4 are 2 classes each, and 1 is 3 classes, which is real tough on experience when you get up. But the versatility they have, they got all types of thieving abilities, right? So they have an assassin, a thief, and a bard from the thief side, right? From those rogues. Oh, and a monk, right? So thieving skills are covered real well. Plus you got one ranger in there as well. So there are a lot of thief skills at the table. Every single one of them again cast arcane or divine spells, all 7 of them. So they have so much healing magic. They have so many charm-based spells, charm persons. They have illusions. They have hold persons. They have flight and levitation. And there's always like a trick that they're coming up with. It's great, and it really keeps me on my toes, and I'm ready for it. It was a challenge at first because I was used to just high attack it with a sword, and that was stank and whack, right? But that's what you expect to see when you're playing with teenagers, maybe people in their early 20s where they haven't had that style, where they're coming out at the game shop and they haven't had that style of really getting into it and saying, oh, the hero is the one with the sword, that's trying to all be Conan. Oh, the wizard is just his bitch ass assistant. And fuck that bitch ass assistant. They look at that like they would a damn hobbit. Just get out of here with that trash. Just to the garbage can itself with you, hobbit. So, other weird thing, I got hobbit players. Hobbits are in all my games. Definitely. The last 2 I ran at Hobbits, and then I ran a 4-game session module, Ravenloft, just for the players. One of them played a fucking gnome. So I'm getting this stuff in my games, right? I got a straight-up dwarf player, but he likes to play dwarfs or like weird humans like an Aasimar or like Tiefling, things like that, and that's pretty much his deal. He likes to play one. So, and the players know, like, don't be bringing me the same goddamn character because you're going to get joked, and bad, too. I will joke you for that, for stagnation, and I don't approve of that, nor appreciate it, nor should I, nor should you. Get players to do different things, get them to push outside their comfort zone because they'll grow and they'll learn and they'll become better and they'll entertain you more. And as a game master, you deserve to be entertained by your players because at a certain point you go, fuck y'all, I'm out of this piece, and you will be out of that piece because you never want to do it again if they're not entertaining you. You can have a bad session here or there, but most of the time you need to be having fun, and generally a lot of fun. That's what's really good. You understand? So that's important to think about. And when you're making those characters, for me, it's usually everybody makes their characters alone, and I don't let them know what other people are doing. I do try to have spotlight. Like if you're like, okay, my character's deal is going to be, I got the battle axe, I'm doing this and that. Okay, someone's like, oh yeah, I'm going to do the battle axe. I'm like, let's roll back on that battle axe. Let's find something different for you. May I show you an assortment of polearms? They are the jam anyway. So I like to have. I kind of edit that as a game master. If somebody's going to be doing this type of wizard, I'm like, well, okay, I feel that you want to be a wizard, but let's maybe push you over this way. And it's fine as a game master to tell players no, and you kind of move them a little bit. If they're giving you something that you don't need or want in a game, they're going to have a hell of a time with. Just. Because ultimately they're just going to be fucking themselves. I know you have the concept, I know you want to do this, but you don't have the right to inflict something on your game master they're not going to enjoy, and ultimately it's going to fuck you. Because if I'm your game master and you give me a character I don't like, I can't use, I'm not going to give you you're not going to have a good experience with it. You're not going to have the best experience you could. And so if you did this instead of this, well, over here, this might be what really ultimately gave you the best time in my game because you're giving me something that my creative engine is like, oh, I want to get a hold of this, not something I'm like, God, your character's so stupid. You don't want your game master to feel that way. As a player, if you never game mastered before, trust me, your players will give you some dumbass ideas. You have some dumbass players, and you're thinking like, oh damn, John is dumb as shit. You're thinking that right now, motherfucker, aren't you? Thinking about Gregory and Trayvon and going, man, what a bunch of dumbass motherfuckers they are. Gave me some whack-ass ideas and some bitch-ass tactics. And they did, and I know they did, because I was there in spirit, watching over you, as I always am. So, you want to think about that, right? As a player, you want to think about how your character's going to change things up. And you could be an open style, right, where everybody sits down and talks. You don't want to have repetition. This is a really, really bad thing in the game, and a really bad thing, I think, introduced by the whole MMORPG, the World of Warcraft crowd. I think that's really a really, really bad thing there. Because, okay, if we got 4 players, and we got a fighter, a wizard, a cleric, and a rogue the first time, okay, cool, that's no problem. If the next time we got a rogue and a fighter and a wizard and a cleric, you understand, it's the same. We've done it again. And then if we did it a 3rd time, and then if we did it a 4th time, and then if we did it a 5th time, the game master's like, oh my god, this is the shits. So do different things, and it doesn't mean, oh, we're going to place the wizard with a sorcerer. Oh, instead we're going to have a bard that focuses on healing. Oh, instead of the fighter, he's a barbarian. This is the fucking same thing, bro. The same thing. If you have that all elf campaign, if you have that all thief campaign, if you have that all warrior campaign, where it's all warriors and yeah, I am the fucking master of the goddamn great club. And you're like, Gargang! You can do a lot of diversity just with fighters, just with picking different weapons, with picking different armor. This guy has a shield, that guy doesn't have a shield. This one guy has fights with 2 daggers. Don't let people fight with 2 long swords. That's the wagness. And I will joke your game. But if you have these different fighting styles, you can do that. Now imagine, how you can change it up. Maybe you have a game, you have 4 players, right? You have two fighters, different weapons, different style, different armor, and then you have 2 wizards, right? One's an illusionist, one's an evoker, or you have a game that is 4 priests and a thief in it, and that's your party, 4 priests and a thief, and they're priests of different gods. If you're using AD&D, you use a specialty priest rule. Something very similar to that in 3.5, going forward into less desirable and more embarrassing editions. We could never know nor care if they even have words in the books there. I mean, this is irrelevant to any of us if we're talking D&D. And I know you have something similar in Pathfinder as well. I'm playing in a Pathfinder game. I don't really love Pathfinder, but it is what it is, and the Game Master's going to be more comfortable with what they're doing. And we're using the old Dragonlance campaign story from this Game Master. Now, in that, I'm playing an enchanter. We have a Cavalier class player, basically working up to being a knight. I'm working up to be a rogue wizard. My son's playing a character who was a thief and then became a cleric. We're only 3rd level now, so he's both those classes. And my nephew's playing a bard. My nephew's the same age as I am. He's my age. He's not a little kid. And I think he's going to be a bard / fighter or something like that as he keeps going up. So we got 4 players, and they're all different, right? And the bard can heal a little bit, but I guess the priest can now, because we didn't have a priest to start with. But it gives us a different look because we had another player and he had some serious personal issues, so he was going to run the game, and then he dropped out. So we're like, well, we do want to play this Dragonlance. So a different player who had actually played the modules before was like, oh, I know them and I can run it, and let me just read them and prep up. So he done that, and basically the player base, changed, and people changed what they were going to do. Like, my character stayed the same, and Frank's character stayed the same. Now, my son played a completely different character he was going to play, and my nephew wasn't even going to play in the game, and he comes into the game, and we had the guy who is running the game was going to play in the game, but so his character's completely gone, right? And one of the other players he couldn't play, that was going to play. So it provides a completely different party from what we had before, and even with a set story, that's really going to change the way things are done. I've run Walking Dead, Ravenloft with a ton of different groups. I've probably run that module 6 different times, maybe 7, maybe even 8 times, because I know it, and without it, I could probably do a halfway decent job of running it. Like, if I didn't have the module, and you went back and read it afterwards, you would go, damn, I mean, you fucked up a couple of those names, but Jesus Christ, I'm gonna hit I'm gonna hit a lot of home runs just off memory of remembering how what the module said. And I definitely have the tone and feel in my head, the way that I want to produce it at least. It's been a completely different experience with pre-made characters, not player characters, but pre-made NPCs, pre-made town, pre-made domain, Sarania, pre-made encounters with zombies and monsters. But it's a completely different experience every time because the players have different characters and different minds. They're trying different tactics, right? So I've run that game since I was 17, and I ran it maybe 14, 15 months ago, something like that, for the last time. I've run it online. As you can watch me, running it somewhere on my channel way back in the day, maybe 5 years ago, something like that. And it produces a different scenario. So as a game master, you really want to think about that. You don't just go okay, and let them, and don't just let them necessarily sit down and produce something that's going to be stagnant. Let them think outside the box. Let them bring you interesting ideas, because regardless how it affects the power level, you want to have a group that's interesting and dynamic. You don't want to sit back and draw a picture and you're like, oh, that's the same group as everybody else. Like if it feels off a little bit, if you look at it and go, huh, like, oh, this group has 3 fighters and 2 clerics. Oh, that can produce a very interesting story. And again, it's going to focus on different parts. You go to a city, the fighters are from the old school, going to fighters guilds, right? I don't know, you never use a damn fighters guild, but they're going to go do different things. They're going to corrals, and they're going to the taverns, doing this. Whereas a wizard would go off to seek more knowledge, to seek more arcana, to deal with fucking unbelievable spirits of the astral seas themselves, or of the infernal reaches. So they're going to do, just in a town, just in a cityscape, they're going to do different things, right? The clerics are going to their temple. They're going to other temples, having these philosophical and theological discussions and debates, and they're learning, and they're growing, and they're capturing other cults' Bibles. They're bringing back just trophies to the temple, and look at this, we have the symbol of Cyric, to smash it in all forges of holiness. What's that symbol of Cyric? I could have great power? And then they start just shanking and ganking on people, because fuck it, sometimes things happen. Sometimes you do have to shank and gank. I mean, it's just the way it is, baby. So as players, really think about that. Think about the choice that not only does your player affect you, not only does it affect the other players, but it affects your game master and affects the game, what you bring to the table. Try to do different things. Try to not play the same character. Try not to play fantasy you. That's the worst. At that point, you're not even role-playing. You're just doing some kind of weird fucking therapy or something. Don't do that. It's weird and creepy. Play a character. Make a different character. Make someone who's not you, and put the mask on. The Within Ring of Fire, it's a mask, and the character sheet has a mask on it, right? It's take that psychological tapestry that you prepared and put that over your eyes and see this ethereal, amazing vista of imagination your game master's created for you, and really try to push in on that, and learn and grow and try new things, and try not to do the same old song.